Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name is JangoJoker and we are back with another video. So, in this video, I am going to talk about, as you can see in a title, about gaming on Linux. So, let's get started with this topic. So, all of you guys I know are playing games on Windows. So Microsoft Windows is the main operating system that supports all of the games right now that are out there. But why I'm going to talk about gaming on Linux is because I'm using Linux, and also Linux is a great operating system because someone will say right now you are insane, you are talking about gaming on Linux. That never will happen. That was a topic back in 2011, for example, because if we go back there in 2011, you can see that there was impossible to play games on Linux. If the only way you can play games on Linux back then was by Wine. You will install Wine, and then games that aren't made for Linux are made for Windows. You can play it like in Wine, for example. But in 2013 was the year that changed the way people are looking right now at gaming on Linux, because Valve released SteamOS released Steam on Linux, and with Steam came back then, I think it was 60 or 70 games, but now are more than 500 games for Linux, and some of them are AAA games. And with that, the gaming on Linux started to grow, and and with that, some people that were using Linux and that wanted to game on Linux, when their favorite games came out on Linux, they stopped using Windows like they were using before just for playing those games, and switched full time on Linux. So they are playing right now all of their favorite games on Linux. So yeah, the downside I will say for Linux is because Microsoft are having DirectX support for the game, but Linux is having OpenGL games. But for me, that isn't a downside, because some AAA games that are running in Linux in OpenGL, you won't tell the difference between DirectX and OpenGL. Like Reach, for example, the game runs smoothly and the graphics are phenomenal in Linux, even if it's running on OpenGL. So then in 2014, the beta version of SteamOS came out from Valve, and then there were also coming out of Steam machines that were running Linux. I think it was based on Debian, but I'm not sure about that. And in 2015, the end of the 2015, so the end of the last year, SteamOS was fully out. Even if you install it right now, you can see it's still in beta, but I don't know why is that. Maybe some bugs needed to be fixed so it can be stopped developing in beta and released fully. So with that came out more games that are AAA, and so someone will ask me, well, yeah, but uh, gaming on Linux isn't that good like gaming on Windows. Well, you are, I will say like this, you are you from back when the gaming on Windows started, you are addicted to gaming on Windows, so you don't want to change and experiment with something new like Linux gaming. But if you try and experiment it, you will see that Linux gaming isn't that bad. It's good gaming, and also some games that are on Windows and also on Linux run with more FPS on Linux than on Windows. So I'm going to show you right now some games that are AAA on Linux. So you can see that we have got AAA games on Linux. So let's get started. So first game is XCOM 2, for example. It's a great game. Then next game is the Talos Principle, good game also. Then the game from Valve is like Portal 2, Left 4 Dead, Team Fortress 2, and so on and so on. Then Wastelands 2, it's a great game on Linux, also a AAA game. Soma, great game on Linux. American Truck Simulator just came out when it was released on Windows. It was released on Linux also. Also great game and AAA game. Polaris of Eternity, also great game. City Skylines from EA. It was the best game of 2015. Civilization 5, also AAA game on Linux. Civilization Beyond Earth, AAA game on Linux. Invisible, triple game on Linux. Dying Light, also triple game in Linux, included in the best games of 2015 for Linux. Kerbal Space Program. I didn't heard about this, but it's included in AAA games. Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor, another AAA games that is in Linux. Transistor, another AAA game. Some of these games are AAA but are indie games. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic 2, also good game for Linux. Prison Architect, also good game. Metro Last Light Redux, also AAA game on Linux. Shadowrun series, sorry about that, AAA game for Linux. Crypt of the Necrodancer, good game for Linux. Europa Universals 4, AAA game for Linux. Crusader Kings 2, AAA games for Linux. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and Borderlands 2, AAA game for Linux. Ark Survival Evolved, also it's on Linux. Papers, Please, it's a game also that came out on Linux. The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings, also a game that came out on Linux. Also The Witcher 3 is coming out on Linux in the near future. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, good game on Linux. Next, Terraria, also good game on Linux. This War of Mine, good game of Linux. So as you can see, every game that is on Windows is also on Linux. Super Meat Boy. Next, Fez. Next, Grim Fandango Remastered, good game for Linux. Goat Simulator. Also, one of the most popular games in the world is Goat Simulator, is on Linux. Shovel King, also on Linux. Kentucky Road Zero, also on Linux. The Witcher 3, as I said, coming to SteamOS. Also. So, also there is Outlast game also on Linux. Outlast 2, it is coming on Linux when it will be released at the end of this year. Outlast DLC Whistleblower, also on Linux. So Counter-Strike, all of the Counter-Strikes are on Linux. So maybe not all of the AAA games are on Linux, but plenty of them are on Linux, like Saints Row 4. I forgot about that game. Also is on Linux. So also, this isn't a video of me talking about gaming on Linux. It's also about talking about my channel. So this channel is about trying to promote, I will say, gaming on Linux, so the other people can start playing games on Linux more, and with that more and more AAA games will come out on Linux. So I don't know what to talk about. I think that in the future the gaming on Linux will grow more, and it will become like Windows is it for games. The second best choice for PC gaming will be Linux. That's my point of view for the future of Linux and gaming on Linux also. So that's it for this episode, guy. If you liked this episode, hit like button and also subscribe to me for more great videos, and I will see you in my next video. So until the next time, take care.